menu.
Will you help me?
Folks, welcome to the Magnus's Loot Crate Halloween special. Folks, I'm gonna throw in a little bit of Halloween fun this year. Hopefully, I'll be able to do one of these every year. But for our first Halloween special, I'm gonna keep it relatively short. I'm gonna talk about some horror-related figures and figurines that you may have never heard of before. You may have. If you have heard of them and you know anything about them, leave it in the comments, because we'd probably all love to hear about these, especially people who are interested in these figures. But folks, before I get started into our Halloween fun, remember I've got the link to the Discord in the description. I've also got a Magnus merch Teespring store. So if you have any interest in having some Magnus merch of your own, some Magnus loot to wear around and show your friends, check that out. The link will be in the description. If I can figure out how to do the individual merch down like a lot of other people do, you'll see it there too. But folks, without further ado, let's get in to the Halloween special. So folks, first off in our spooky fun for Halloween, I'm going to talk about some figures like this one. This, as you can see, is a Jason Voorhees figure. I believe it's by a company called NECA. At least I hope I'm pronouncing that right, N-E-C-A. Not a bad looking figure. He might give you nightmares, but then again, what won't in this day and age? But they don't just make that, they also have this pinhead figure here, which, you know, as you can see, I think it has sort of an action figure element to it, but don't hold me to that. It could just be a statue with a changeable head and blah blah blah. But still, if you're a horror fan, it doesn't look like a bad piece of toy. And also, of course, Freddy Krueger. What horror rendition of the Magnus's Loot Crate wouldn't be? I would be remiss not to speak of Freddy Krueger at the very least. But also, while I was poking around looking at some of these figures, I found this Stephen King, the Pennywise from the new It movie, which rather a fugly looking little piece of equipment, but who am I to judge? It's a horror movie. Of course the monsters are going to be fugly. We also have, you got this alien figure here, Predator figure, alien. Yeah, I'll get that right sooner or later. As you can see, it does have the interchangeable heads. It's a little naked. Then again, I only poked around and found a few pictures just to get an idea of what I was looking at, what I was talking about. But, yeah, you got this Predator figure. NECA does seem to make some really good stuff. But, you know, if you're a horror fan, why not? I got a friend of mine who's huge into horror, and he has actually some of these figures, I think. I don't know if this is a specific brand, but hey, why not? And that takes me into... Now folks, this is one of those, oh God, why? And, well, then again, why not kind of moments. As you can see here, we have Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees. These are... I'm sorry, I'm trying not to laugh. This is from a company called Kotobukiya, as far as I can tell. K-O-T-O-B-U-K-I-Y-A. So I'm pronouncing it in what I understand to be the right pronunciation of Kotobukiya. But these are Bishoujo horror figures. As you can see here, we've got Jason Voorhees and Freddy Krueger as hot sort of anime sort of girls. So sure, why not? I mean, you know, if you're gonna have horror figures, why not have the cute hot horror figures? I mean, after all, as you can see here, they also have Ash from from Evil Dead, chainsaw hand and all, in the cut off Daisy Duke booty shorts, and with the shotgun, the boomstick is firmly in place. I guess I can't really argue with that. I'm sorry I keep laughing about this, but I do kind of find it hilarious that these figures exist, and these are the more likely ones that I would actually buy, just because they are representations of the figures, but they're Rule 63 versions, completely gender swap. Why the fuck not? Why? Sorry about that language, but why not? I mean, here we go with a gender bent Pinhead, which, from what I understand in the original story of the Hellbound Heart, I think Pinhead was supposed to be like an unnamed female character. That, you know, the name Pinhead wasn't actually a name, it was just some female character with the whole Pinhead motif. But sure, why not? I mean, we got figures like Pinhead in the NECA line. Why not, why not throw in a figure like that? And also, hey, here's a Looney Toony looking Michael Myers chick. Why not? For Halloween, for those of you who are into the Halloween movies, because that's a thing, sure. Also, as you can see, there's the Bride of Chucky looking like a very unruly Wendy. So, yeah, go eat at Wendy's, why not? Get the chick with the scarred face. Sorry. But folks, that's the Kotobayashi figures. Or Kotobukiya, I'm sorry, Kotobayashi. Derp. You can tell I'm just getting too much of a giggle out of this, because, I mean, why not? Now, folks, these are toys that have kind of been around for a while. These are toys from basically the guy who created Spawn. If you're familiar with comic books, as Todd McFarlane created McFarlane Toys. And we're starting out with Jason Voorhees because classic horror. I mean, why not? But also, McFarlane Toys also has, like Freddy Krueger, as you can see here. But then as you go along, you find like this one from Clive Barker's Tortured Souls. Rather screwed up looking figures, I will admit, but if you're into horror and you like the sort of a action figure element, these aren't really bad figures. I got like I said, I got a friend of mine who's got a lot of some of these figures, and they're pretty nice. Of course, he doesn't display them out of the packages, so I can't say I've ever really messed with these figures, but honestly, they're not bad. They're not bad looking toys, like this Edward Scissorhands here. I mean, McFarlane Toys is kind of does, I guess, what you'd call more questionable sort of toys, or more in the horror genre maybe. I haven't really seen that many McFarlane toys up close and personal in person. Matter of fact, I don't think I've ever seen that many of them in person, but they're, like, here we go, Wishmaster. So, usually, I would guess if you're interested in any sort of horror movie at all, McFarlane Toys would probably be your best bet if you want to get like a collectible figure up from a certain specific horror movie. And I mean, shoot, why not? They're nice figures, and of course, like here, you got this 2-pack of Ash and Evil Ash from Army of Darkness. They're not bad looking toys, I have to admit. I mean, if you look in the pack there, you've even got one of the teeny weeny little Ashes. So, there you go. They look like great toys, and if I was really that big into horror movies, which I would probably collect them just to have them, a couple of them just to have on display at home, because why not? They're really nice looking figures. But that is it for these, and go out looking for them. For those of you who already knew about these, yeah, I know you probably collected all of them, but for those of you who didn't know these existed, well, now you do.
A monster! That's when you turn me into a robot monster!
Now folks, what would a Halloween special be for the Magnus's Loot Crate if I didn't have at least one little bit of Transformers loot thrown into the mix? This is Blue Lobster's BL-01X Frank. He is, of course, as you can see, the Autobot X from that one episode, the first episode of Season 2, as a matter of fact. He is Autobot Spike, the body that Sparkplug created, and then they had to throw Spike's brain into him so the doctors could operate, blah, blah, blah. You get it. But as you could probably tell, he's not too horribly posable, but he's kind of posable. You can, move his elbows up and down. You can move his arms up and down. The door on the one side kind of hinders that one arm. But otherwise, it's not a bad little figure. I mean, it'd be a perfect prop for a display. I mean, you could probably put him in the background sort of as like a, yeah, we've still got this thing, he's off in the background kind of thing. But for what I paid for him, he's not really that bad of a figure. I mean, he's like I said, he's more of a prop than anything else, to be completely honest with you. I mean, $39.99, just really not a bad figure. I mean, you can take the gun out of his right arm and stick it in his hand, but really, other than that, as you can see from the animation model, he pretty much looks exactly like the figure. So I don't really see anything to complain about. He is a decent little figure though, and like I said, he's more of sort of a prop than anything else. So not a bad little figure. So if you get a chance to, I picked him up at ShowZ for 40 bucks. Why don't you pick yourself one up? And that, folks, is pretty much it with Blue Lobster's X Frank. There's not really a whole lot to tell with him. Folks, that's going to do it for the Magnus's Loot Crate Halloween special. I'm your host, as always, Magnus Deacon. Hopefully you enjoyed this little Halloween special, as short as it may have been. It was rather fun to make as far as I was concerned, and I thought I should have at least a little something for Halloween to get your Halloweeny spoopy jollies going. So folks, that'll do it for now. I will see you guys next time.